as within, so without. If what you see on the without you don't like, well, then go back in and change the conversation. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You were talking about the simplicity of the message, and I know that many people are going to hear the message and they're going to say, that's too simple. It can't be that simple. And so, what you're going to do is you're going to go out and look for another teacher, other teachers who can complicate it for you. And so, you'll try their complicated method, and in the end, you'll discover that it doesn't work for you. Or if it worked temporarily because you made it too complicated. But as you come back to this message and you start practicing the simplicity of it, changing your thoughts little by little, being mindful of your thinking, just the little things that we tell you to do, week after week, you're going to start experiencing life change. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I tried all the complicated stuff. I read all the complicated books. I've tried all the complicated formulas. But when I simplified the message, when I went back to the basics, that's when change started to take place.
When you stop analyzing it,
Yeah.
you start using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would analyze things to dust. I mean, literally dust. And then I'd sit and wonder, well, what's it all about then? It's all about you paying attention to what you're doing in yourself, because what's you're doing in yourself will be expedited out
Yeah.
all around you. Because listen, like I told you, remember, everything on the without is secondhand. It's all secondhand on and without. It was only first an idea in some man's mind.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who invented the computer, the guy who bought this, that, all these things,
Yeah.
they had to think about it, and they had to have single thought, because here's the product. And when you have a single thought, you get your product.
Yeah.
If you jump around, if you're double minded, you can't produce anything that's of any value to you. You have to focus. Focus is your main point. What you're paying attention to, that's your life. Believe me, that is your whole, what you're paying attention to in here, that's your life. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. So if you'll correct thinking ahead of your evidence and make it positive, your world's coming through you. It isn't coming to, your world's not coming from the without. It appears to be, because you're judging by appearances, but you're told not to judge by appearances, because, well, then you just screw it all up.
Somebody said it this way, that ration lies, we call it rational lies, but ration lies. When you're judging according to appearance, appearance lies. It's deceptive. And David called appearance the valley of the shadow of death. It's a shadow. It's not even the real substance, but it gives you the impression that it's real. And so we start living according to the realness of this drama man, and we wonder why our world is all chaotic. But when we begin to understand that mind is first cause, and we begin thinking according to what it is that we want to do, to be, to have, then we start seeing, perceiving, out picturing a different world.
Yes, it's difficult to calm yourself down if you're upset. But the point is that just ask yourself, check on yourself, what is my general mood? Because that's what you're acting on. You're acting on your moods. So if you'll just hold the best you can a pleasant mood, things will work out for you. You'll be drawing to you other things that'll booster up your mood. That is, if you're thinking about the things that muster up your mood.
Yeah.
But that's really all it is. You're going from mood to mood to mood. Why not make it lovely and have a lovely mood? I mean, think only on things that are lovely and of good report. I keep bringing it up because I had such a difficult time with just thinking on things that are lovely and of good report. You try, you'll find out exactly what I meant, what I said. Everything will invade you at the beginning, and that's the reason why you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. I know you're not aware all the time, I'm very aware of that. But the more aware you are of what you're allowing yourself to entertain as thought, and know that you're thinking ahead of your evidence, and that you will be experience what you're thinking ahead of your evidence, there it is. It's your life. Live it like you want it, or you can live it like you don't want it. It's always up to you. Thinking makes it so. Thoughts are things. This is a thing. This is a thing. This is a thing. Thoughts are things. What are you thinking about? Do you want it to become a thing in your world? If not, stop it. Change your mind. Change your world. That's what God told you. Change your mind. Change your world. There it is. That's simple. And actually, it really is that simple. If you can get that simple with it.
Yeah. Scripture calls that being as a little child. And I want to say, so Mr. Lindell often quote the scripture, blessed is the person that does not condemn themselves for the things which they've allowed. I bring this up because a lot of times when we're processing and we're catching ourselves thinking, a lot of times we want to go back to the past and see where that happened and what caused it and so forth. The biggest thing about going back to the past is that you're stuck in the past. I don't know if anyone saw the movie Back to the Future, but as long as you're back in the past, only thing you can reproduce is that in the past. If something in the past has hurt you, acknowledge it, forgive it, release it, revise it, and move on. But don't stay there. Many people will tell you, well, you got to go back and you got to process. And like I said, you can do that. But the challenge with that is it keeps you back there. You acknowledge what has happened and you move forward and you say, okay, what do I want? And you start thinking on what it is that you want, not where you've been. As you begin to acknowledge what it is that you want and begin living from what it is that you want, that's when the miracle takes place. That's when life change takes place. But staying back in the past only keeps you trapped in the past.
Yes, and that's where most people live.
Yeah.
Most people live in the past. They're not thinking of the future. They're all little scenarios they run off in their mind. They don't realize that when they're running them off, you're actually reliving it.
Absolutely.
If you didn't like it the first time, why would you want to keep bringing it up?
Absolutely.
But you do, because habitualness.
Yeah.
Habitualness will drive you mad unless you get a handle on it. Attitude, awareness, and imaginational control. And I say imaginational control because that's it. That's it. What you're doing in your own imagination is the world you're experiencing. So when you sit down in the silence, don't think of things that you've already experienced, unless it's a necessity to change it. But the point is that what are you thinking about? Is it lovely and of good report? Yeah. That's what you'll be experiencing. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you're thinking on things that are lovely and of good report, only on things that are lovely and of good report, that's what you'll be experiencing. It's as simple as that. I tell you, it is that simple. I can tell you this, it's very difficult to accomplish because we're so conditioned, so mesmerized to the ongoing drama that there's so much going on in here that you can't even settle down for a few minutes to see where are we headed. If you'll do that, you'll find out where you're headed if you just see what you're thinking about. Because thinking makes it so. What are you thinking about? If you don't want it so, quit thinking about it. No, I don't have any training for this. I guess that's obvious, but it was all a revelation. I didn't figure anything out. In fact, my reading of scripture was always, as most people read scripture, it was secular history, something thousands of years in the past. But it isn't. It's alive and well right here or right now. Are you? That's the question. Right here and right now. What are you thinking about? Is it lovely and a good report? There you are. Stick with it. I mean, that's all you have to do. You just have to be consistent, and you can be consistent if you'll start correcting yourself. And all you have to do is listen to your own inner conversations for a time. And if you really listen to them and really listen to what you're saying, you'll find out, you'll see all your problems. They're right there, right. In fact, that guy holding that sign, the truth is all around us. It's just right here, right now. Yeah, yes, it is. Right out of your own mouth. Or if you're keeping your mouth shut, what you're thinking. Tell him, DeCarlo.
You said something. You said a moment ago, you said, listen, if you want to know what you're going to experience in the future, take inventory of your thoughts. And I'll say this, if you want to know what you've thought in the past, take a look at your life. So one reflects the future, the other reflects the past. Your present living is your thoughts played forward. Everything that you've thought up until this moment has brought you to wherever it is that you are at this moment. And if you want to change it, then you can't continue on the same train of thought. You have to do something different. You have to think a new thought. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
As you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. If you just keep it that simple, you just keep it simple. As you think, you are, you do, you have, and religious or not religious, we're not basing it on that.
No.
It's telling you that you're a thinking, feeling being, and your thinking, feelingly is your life. And you're told to think only on things that are lovely and good report. And if as you think you are, and you're thinking on things that are lovely and good report, there you go. You got it. You got it. You got to just move in and think from, not of. That's the difference. It makes a difference, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I think that too many of us are watching the program on the screen as opposed to living from the program in the screen.
Yeah. Like he says, miracles.
Yeah.
Everything is a miracle. Yeah. See, Jesus told you, I of myself can do nothing. Where does that leave us? I mean, if Jesus can do nothing for himself, God does all the work, but he has to name what it is. He has to call forth what it is he wants. And then it's made. But that's the same with you. And you are calling forth what? What are you experiencing? That's the tip off. If you're experiencing it, then you were thinking about it. And what you think about is what you are, you do, you have, you be. It's as simple as that. If you just keep it simple, you'll remember it. And that's what we fail to do. We fail to remember what we have agreed with. We ourselves have agreed with it, and yet we forget it. Why? Because we don't practice it. And that's what it is. Practice, practice, practice. And if you'll do so, you'll have so. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How are you thinking? Are you experiencing lovely and a good report? And if you weren't, then you weren't thinking that way. You can check up on yourself. That's the whole thing. You don't need somebody else to check up on you. If you'll just check up on yourself, you'll see where you're creating every instance that you don't want and what you do want. Let's make it more what you do want than what you don't want. And it's all thinking, and you're thinking all the time about what? Just ask yourself, what am I thinking? Because thinking makes it so. What's so? Well, what are you thinking?
You said something. Go ahead. No, you said something a moment ago. You said about agreements, and people say, well, how did I agree to this? When you're giving your attention, when you're giving your imaginational control to something, that's your agreement. So if you're thinking about it, that's your agreement.
That's it. That's it. Watch yourself. Don't watch out there. Watch yourself. What's really important is not what's going on out there. It's what's going on in here, because this is where you live, in here. You're not living out here. You're living in here. Everything on the without comes from in here. Attitude, attitude, attitude. Imagine better than the best. That's all there is to it. Just imagine better. Well, imagining creates reality. Neville told us that over and over and over, didn't he?
He did, absolutely.
And so what are you imagining? If you're thinking about things that haven't happened, that's called imagining. You're imagining what? What's going to happen? Is it lovely and a good report? No. Well, then scrap it and start over again. That's all you have to do. Just keep track of what you're thinking. And you can do so. But it does mean you have to pay attention. See, what has your attention has your life. I mean, try and deny it. What has your attention has your life. Attitude, attitude, attitude. Montaigne told us that attitude is everything. What is your attitude about what? In fact, all these books up here tell you the same thing. They tell you that man is his attitude. What is your attitude? Someone said, "Well, you got a bad attitude." Well, if they tell you that, check on it, because you may have a bad attitude. Obviously you do, but I mean, what does Scripture tell us? Not one of us is worthy.
Yeah.
So worrying about being worthy is that don't make no sense, because what you worry about, it says don't think on things that you don't want to experience. I mean, and you hear it from everybody. You hear the person damning himself by what he's saying, and he doesn't see it. And if you point it out to him, he'll probably get mad. But so what? Let him get mad. He has to experience that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, look, if you're angry, if you're mad, then you're in the wrong state of mind, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're told to be angry and sin not, but if we stay in that state, we tend to fall into something. You're going to step on a little boo-boo if you keep staying in that state. You talked about, the person that says, they're not causing the situation, but, and they're thinking negative thoughts, and they say, nothing ever works out for me. Now, they don't believe that their thought of nothing ever works out for me is the cause of nothing ever working out for me. And only thing we ask each of you to do,
so be it,
absolutely, is to run a few tests, because many of us say, see, I told you nothing ever worked out for me. And then you're correct. You manifested 100% of what it is that you're experiencing. So if that's your inner conversation, watch how it plays out. And if you see that it continuously plays out time and time again, consider changing it and seeing how that plays out.
Actually, change your mind, change your will.
Yeah.
That was given to you at birth. Change your mind, change your will. Now, you're conditioned from day one up to, I don't know what age, let's say the age of reason, whatever that is. I don't know if I've even got there yet, but the age of reason. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report. That's all. I mean, you can do that, can't you? I mean, I know is it going to be a great interference, but if you'll persist on the idea of thinking from things that are lovely and of good report, look, every word is taken in culmination to make up your life. So if you're thinking nonsense things, well, you got a lot of nonsense coming, because everything produces after its own kind, and it expands and expands. But if you're thinking on things that are lovely, you see, that'll expand also. So you're in charge, even if you're out of control. The idea to get in control, that you can do so. Believe me, once I realized that I had the ability, and it's not even an ability, really. I mean, you can do so. You were told to do so by God. So if he told you to do it, he knows you can do it. And if you don't do it, then you're just being, I won't even say it. Attitude awareness and imaginational control. You get these two operating correctly, and you just stroll through. If they're not operating correctly, boom, 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 ball down the road. and then you get to a point you're going, what am I going crazy? What is it? Well, actually, that would probably be a help to you too. If you realize you're going crazy, that's You can look, you can stop anything, or you can start anything. You are starting something every day. When you wake up in the morning, you start right off. What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? Who are you angry with? What did you go to sleep with? See, the thing of it is, the first when I go to bed at night, the first half an hour I take for contemplation. And if I do it correctly, it just automatically becomes not only just not only just what you're thinking about, but what you were thinking about that you want to continue to thinking about. So you have to have your attention to pay attention to what did I say? To what you're thinking. It sounds all right in here. It just doesn't sound the same when it comes out here. But look, you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. And the evidence that you're thinking ahead of is what you're going to be experiencing. Is it what you want? See, you get a thought ahead of a thought to let you know that you may be going in the right direction, but you may be going in the wrong direction. But it's up to you to pay attention to what you're doing within yourself, because that's your world on the without. Correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You were talking and you made me think about talking about thinking lovely and what's of a good report. And you made me think about Clement Stone. He was a insurance mogul back in the mid 50s, 60s, 70s. He had one of the largest insurance companies of his time. And his thing was, let me think that people are conspiring for my good. He didn't look at people coming after him for harm. He said that everything was working together for his good and every person was conspiring. No matter what the situation was, he would always ask the question, how is this towards my good? How is this working out towards my good? The funny thing is, when that becomes the mindset, you'll find the good.
Well, they operate automatically.
Yeah.
See, that's something you want to realize. Those mindsets operate automatically. When any situation that would call upon that, it'll be there.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, this is what we're going to, no, it just happens. So you're in control, take control. Even you're still operating, even if you're out of control, but you see there, you're causing yourself problems. If you're in control, we're assuming that if you're in control, you'll be thinking things lovely in a good report. But if you're not, you'll be thinking of all the things that you don't want to do. And that's how you get them. Scripture says it very plainly, as you think you are. It didn't say as you religiously think you are. Thinking makes it so. That's it. You don't have to add anything to that. Thinking makes it so. What are you thinking? And it's going to be so. Do you want it? If you don't, stop it and think of something else. That's what we do here. We just repeat this over and over and over because that's the whole essence of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if they just get that little square right there and work upon it, it'll expand into a lovely life. I can tell you. Look, I wouldn't want to explain to you where I was at when I heard this. I heard Neville say, imagining creates reality. And I don't know why. I heard that before. I mean, I heard it. I got his tapes. I heard that before and before. But that one time I heard it, man, it was like a zinger, You kind of went like this. But you can straighten out your life by straightening out your thinking and feeling. You're the one, like I said, again, Pogo said it, I have found the enemy and he is I. And I found the enemy and it was me. It was me. I was the only problem I had. I thought it was her problem, his problem, their problem. But no, it was my problem. Because how I'm reacting to what they're doing,
absolutely,
that's me.
Yeah.
See, that's me. How they can't insult me unless I let them.
Yeah.
I have to pay attention to what they're saying and accept it before I'm upset. So that if I'm upset, then that's what I've done. I've accepted what they said. And what you've done in doing that, you set yourself up. And that's what you're doing every time, thinking you're either setting yourself up or setting yourself free. It's that simple. One way or the other. And you're told not to think on things that are not lovely in a good report. Look, we do it all the time. I have to watch myself. Today I have to watch myself. Tomorrow I have to watch myself. The next day I have to watch myself. Because if you're not interested in yourself enough to pay attention to what you're saying to yourself, suggesting to yourself, well, good luck with that. I didn't have any good luck with it, I can tell you, but maybe you can, but I couldn't. It just, when what you're thinking upon draws. See? So if you're thinking on a negative, you get a ton of them, and it's all free. Oh, they're going to say, here's a couple of nuts.
You said some. Let me touch on something you said, because we're winding down and I don't want to lose it. You said, listen, nobody can insult me. Nobody can do anything to me unless I let them. Now, what we're not saying is that the outside world isn't doing it, but we have, as he said, the response. Now, most of us call that the reaction, because we're reactive to what the world without is doing. But when we choose to respond and say, that's not me, so that doesn't matter to me what he or she says about me, we're able to go on about our business. And I'll give an example. When Mr. Lindell was on ship, somebody could have approached him and said, you look seasick. Now, he's been on ship for a very long time. He knew that he wasn't seasick. But you could go to another person and say the exact same thing. So you look seasick, and all of a sudden they will get seasick. Exactly. So we give people the power on the without by choosing to bond with it is that they say, but we don't have to.
That's it. People bond with negative ideas.
Yeah.
They keep running little scenarios off in their head. And you ask them, did you enjoy that when it happened? No. Yeah. Well, why are you bringing it up then?
Yeah.
See? And they'll just look at you. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Exactly what I said. That's what I mean. Yeah. Look, if you're not taking the time to actually see, feel, think what you're thinking and feeling, then you could be destroying yourself.
Yeah.
Very simply.
Yeah.
Remember, it says very plainly that as a man thinketh in his heart, male, female, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so does he. Look, right there's the answer to all your questions. I mean, really, think about it. It's an answer to all your questions. What are you thinking about? All you have to do is know what you're thinking, and then you be the judge of it. You don't need to ask anybody else's opinion. What is your thought on it? Now, I'm not giving you my opinions here. This is not about Lindell's opinions. Yeah. I'm telling you what I first person, present tense experienced. And that's a reason why, and that's the reason why I'm harping on it, as people say, you're always harping on it. Well, okay, I am always harping on it because it's the inroad to yourself, not the outroad to the world of second nature. I mean, it wouldn't be your first thought, but then you wasn't watching your thought. So it became your first thought, and you wound up experiencing it. And then you keep saying, why me? Why this? Why did it happen? Because as you think, you are. Don't forget that statement. As you think, you are. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's it. That's what you're experiencing. That's what you're doing. That's what you're being. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you want a lovely life, start thinking it. Build it up. Because what you're thinking on builds. If you're thinking on the negative, that's building. And it'll get worse and worse and worse and worse. But so it'll also get better and better and better if you're thinking on things that are lovely and a good report. And it says only, come on. If Scripture is telling you only, that means only, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And sir, on that note, it's been a pleasure.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of missed our week.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like something's missing,
Absolutely.
and that's good.
Yeah.
Because it lets you think about the positive things in your life rather than the negative things in your life. That's all you have to do. If you see that this is a negative, you push it this way. You see it's a positive, push it that way. It's just very, very simple. But attention. Attention.
Have a great one, sir.
Have a good one. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. metaphysicalarttheater.com.